Here's what nobody wants to admit, but everyone knows is true. We live in a world where being nice is more important than being competent, where feelings matter more than results, and where everyone gets a trophy just for trying. But let me shock you with some reality. Your customers don't care if you're having a bad day. Your boss doesn't care about your personal struggles. The marketplace doesn't care about your good intentions. They care about one thing and one thing only. Can you deliver exceptional results when it matters? While everyone else is worried about being liked, the winners are focused on being undeniable. While others are seeking comfort, the successful are seeking competence. The brutal truth is that mediocrity is the new majority, and if you want to succeed, you have to be willing to separate yourself from the herd. Let me tell you something that might shake you up a little bit. Most people in this world are completely ignorable. That's right. They wake up, they go through their day, they do their work, they come home, and nobody really notices. Nobody really cares. And the sad part is they've accepted this as normal. But here's what I want you to understand today. Being ignorable is a choice. Being mediocre is a decision you make every single morning when you decide to do just enough to get by. And if you're tired of being overlooked, if you're sick of watching other people get the opportunities you want, if you're done with being invisible in your own life, then you better listen closely to what I'm about to share with you. You see, we live in a world where average has become the enemy of great, where showing up is considered enough, where people think they deserve recognition just for doing what they're supposed to do. But let me ask you this. When was the last time you were truly impressed by someone doing an average job? When was the last time you recommended someone because they were just okay? Never. That's when. The marketplace doesn't reward average anymore. Your boss doesn't get excited about average. Your customers don't remember average. Your children don't look up to average. Your children don't look up to average. Average is invisible. Average is forgettable. Average is the silent killer of dreams and the enemy of achievement. I learned this lesson the hard way when I was starting out. I remember working alongside people who complained constantly about not getting promoted, not getting recognized, not getting the breaks. And I watched them day after day doing just enough to not get fired. They'd show up late, leave early, do the bare minimum, and then wonder why nobody noticed them. They were completely ignorable because they had made themselves that way. But then I met a man who changed everything for me. This fellow worked in the same company, same conditions, same opportunities as everyone else. But something was different about him. When he walked into a room, people paid attention. When he spoke, people listened. When there was a problem, people called him. When there was an opportunity, he was the first one they thought of. What made him different? He had made himself impossible to ignore. Not through politics or manipulation or brown-nosing. He had simply become so good at what he did that ignoring him would have been like ignoring the sun at noon. He stood out not because he was trying to stand out, but because excellence has its own magnetic pull. That's when I realized something that changed my entire approach to life. The world doesn't owe you attention. Respect isn't given freely. Recognition isn't a participation trophy. You have to earn the right to be noticed by becoming so valuable, so skilled, so excellent that people have no choice but to pay attention. Think about the people you admire most. Think about the people whose cause you always take, whose advice you always seek, whose presence commands respect wherever they go. What do they all have in common? They've all made themselves undeniable through the quality of their work, the depth of their knowledge, and the consistency of their character. This isn't about being perfect. This isn't about never making mistakes. This is about becoming so competent, so reliable, so excellent at what you do that when people need something done right, your name is the first one that comes to mind. When they need someone they can count on, you're at the top of the list. When they think about quality and excellence, they think about you. But here's what most people don't understand about becoming excellent. It's not a destination. It's not something you achieve once and then coast. Excellence is a daily practice. It's a commitment you make every morning when you decide how you're going to show up in the world. Most people are looking for shortcuts. They want the recognition without the preparation. They want the respect without earning it. They want to be noticed without being notable. But that's not how the world works. That's not how success works. That's not how life works. The foundation of becoming undeniable starts with a simple but profound shift in thinking. Instead of asking, what can I get? You start asking, what can I give? Instead of wondering, what's in it for me? You start wondering, how can I add value? Instead of focusing on what you deserve, you focus on what you can deliver. You see, excellence isn't about perfection. Excellence is about setting a standard for yourself that's higher than what's expected and then consistently meeting that standard. It's about taking pride in your work, not because someone is watching, but because your name is on it. It's about going the extra mile, not because you have to, but because that's who you've decided to be. I want you to understand something crucial here. The difference between good and great isn't usually dramatic. It's not usually obvious to the casual observer, but it's always obvious to the people who matter. The difference is often in the details that nobody sees, the preparation that happens before anyone is looking, the extra effort that goes into making something just a little bit better. When you commit to excellence, when you decide to become so good they can't ignore you, you're not just changing your work, you're changing your entire approach to life. You're deciding that mediocrity isn't acceptable for you anymore. You're choosing to live at a higher standard than the masses. But let me be clear about something. This journey isn't easy. If it were easy, everyone would do it. The reason most people remain ignorable is because becoming excellent requires something most people aren't willing to give: consistent effort over time without immediate recognition. You're going to have to work on your skills when others are watching television. You're going to have to study when others are socializing. You're going to have to practice when others are playing. You're going to have to persist when others are giving up. That's the price of excellence, and it's a price that most people aren't willing to pay. Now let's talk about what it really means to be so good they can't ignore you. It means developing skills that matter. It means becoming competent in areas that create value. It means understanding your field so deeply that you can solve problems others can't even see. The first thing you need to understand is that skills beat talent every single time. Talent might get you noticed initially, but skills keep you there. Talent is what you're born with, but skills are what you develop through deliberate practice and focused effort. I've seen talented people waste their gifts because they thought talent was enough. And I've seen ordinary people become extraordinary because they were committed to developing their skills. The marketplace doesn't care about your potential, it cares about your performance. It doesn't reward what you could do, it rewards what you actually do. So how do you develop these skills? How do you become so competent that ignoring you becomes impossible? It starts with brutal honesty about where you are right now. Most people overestimate their abilities. They think they're better than they are. They confuse effort with results. They mistake activity for achievement. Take a hard look at your current skill level in the areas that matter most to your success. Are you truly excellent, or are you just comfortable? Are you growing, or are you stagnating? Are you challenging yourself, or are you staying in your comfort zone? Here's what I've learned about skill development. It's not about practicing more. It's about practicing better. Most people practice their weaknesses over and over, thinking that repetition alone will make them better. But repetition without improvement is just repetition. You have to practice with purpose. You have to practice with focus. You have to practice with the intention of getting better, not just putting in time. This means seeking out the best teachers, the best resources, the best examples of excellence in your field. It means studying how the masters do what they do. It means understanding not just what works, but why it works. It means learning from people who are already where you want to be. Most people try to figure everything out on their own. They reinvent the wheel instead of learning from those who have already perfected it. They waste years making mistakes that could have been avoided by learning from someone who had already made those mistakes. Find the best people in your field and study them. Read their books, watch their presentations, understand their methods. Don't just copy what they do, understand why they do it. Learn the principles behind their success so you can apply those principles to your own situation. But here's where most people get it wrong. They study success, they learn the principles, they understand what needs to be done, but then they quit before they see results. They expect immediate improvement, they want instant mastery. They think that understanding something intellectually is the same as being able to do it practically. Let me tell you something about mastery. It takes time, it takes patience, it takes persistence. The people who become so good they can't be ignored aren't the ones who get good quickly. They're the ones who stay committed to getting better long enough to actually become excellent. There's what I call the 90-day transformation rule. Most people can stick with something for about 30 days. Some can make it to 60 days. But very few people can maintain focused effort for 90 days straight. And that's exactly where the magic happens. That's where you separate yourself from the masses. That's where you start to see real, noticeable improvement. 90 days of focused, deliberate practice on the skills that matter most to your success will create more progress than most people make in years of casual effort. But you have to be willing to commit to that 90 days completely. No excuses, no exceptions, no taking days off because you don't feel like it. During those 90 days, you're not just developing skills, you're developing the habits of excellence. You're training yourself to work at a higher standard. You're conditioning yourself to persist when things get difficult. You're building the mental and emotional muscles that excellence requires. And here's what happens when you do this consistently. You start to see results that other people notice. Your work starts to stand out. Your contributions become more valuable. People start to seek you out because they know you deliver quality results. But skill development is only part of the equation. The other part is making yourself valuable in the marketplace. You can be the most skilled person in the world, but if those skills don't create value for others, you'll remain invisible. Value creation is about understanding what people need and becoming exceptionally good at providing it. It's about solving problems that matter. It's about making other people's lives better, easier, or more successful through your work. Most people focus on what they want instead of what others need. They develop skills they find interesting instead of skills the marketplace rewards. They create things they think are important instead of things that actually matter to the people they serve. If you want to become undeniable, you have to align your skill development with value creation. You have to become excellent at things that matter to other people. You have to solve problems that people actually have, not problems you think they should have. This requires understanding your audience, whether that's your boss, your customers, your clients, or your industry. What keeps them up at night? What challenges are they facing? What would make their job easier or their life better? When you can answer those questions and then develop the skills to address those needs, you become invaluable. Now let's talk about standing out in a crowded world. Today everyone has access to the same information, the same tools, the same opportunities. The internet has leveled the playing field in many ways. So how do you distinguish yourself when everyone else has access to the same resources you do? The answer isn't in being different for the sake of being different. The answer is in being better. Much better. So much better that the difference is obvious to anyone who pays attention. Being different might get you noticed temporarily, but being better gets you remembered permanently. Being different is about style, but being better is about substance. Being different is external, but being better comes from within. When you focus on being better instead of being different, several things happen. First, you develop real competence instead of just flash. Second, you build a reputation based on results instead of personality. Third, you create lasting value instead of temporary attention. But here's what better really means. It means paying attention to details that others ignore. It means going the extra mile when nobody is watching. It means caring about the quality of your work even when no one else seems to care. It means taking responsibility for outcomes instead of just activities. Better means showing up prepared when others wing it. Better means following through on commitments when others make excuses. Better means continuing to improve when others think they're good enough. Better means taking pride in your work when others just punch the clock. The art of becoming indispensable isn't really an art at all. It's a science. It's the predictable result of consistently delivering exceptional value. When you become the person others can count on, when you become the one who gets things done right, when you become the solution to problems instead of part of the problem, you become indispensable. Indispensable people have certain characteristics. They're reliable. When they say they'll do something, it gets done. They're competent. They have the skills necessary to deliver quality results. They're proactive. They see problems before they become crises. They're positive. They bring energy and optimism to every situation. But most importantly, indispensable people make everyone around them better. They raise the standard. They inspire excellence in others. They create an environment where good work is expected and great work is normal. Your work should speak for itself, but that doesn't mean you should be silent about your achievements. There's a difference between bragging and communicating value. Bragging is about ego. Communicating value is about service. When you've done excellent work, when you've solved important problems, when you've created significant value, it's your responsibility to make sure the right people know about it. Not because you need recognition, but because your success proves what's possible and inspires others to reach higher standards. The key is to let your results do the talking. Don't tell people how good you are. Show them through the quality of your work. Don't make promises about what you can do. Deliver results that prove what you have done. Don't seek attention. Earn respect through consistent excellence. Building a reputation that opens doors is a long-term process. It requires patience, consistency, and unwavering commitment to your standards. Most people want immediate recognition for their efforts. They want their good work to be noticed right away. They get discouraged when excellence doesn't immediately translate into rewards. But reputation building doesn't work that way. Reputation is built over time through consistent behavior. It's the accumulation of small acts of excellence that eventually create an undeniable pattern. It's the compound effect of doing good work day after day, week after week, year after year. The people whose calls always get returned, whose advice is always sought, whose presence commands respect, didn't get there overnight. They got there through years of proving themselves reliable, competent, and valuable. They built their reputation one interaction at a time, one project at a time. And here's something crucial about reputation. It's much easier to build than to rebuild. One act of excellence might not be remembered, but one act of poor judgment can haunt you for years. That's why consistency is so important. That's why you can't afford to have off days when it comes to your standards. Consistency beats intensity every single time. The person who works at a high standard every day will always outperform the person who has occasional bursts of brilliance, followed by periods of mediocrity. Excellence isn't about peak performance, it's about sustainable, reliable, consistent performance at a high level. Most people think that being consistent means being boring. They think that excellence requires sacrifice of creativity or spontaneity. But that's not true. Consistency in standards doesn't mean consistency in methods. You can be creative in how you approach your work while being consistent in the quality you deliver. The most successful people I know are extremely consistent in their standards, but highly creative in their execution. They never compromise on quality, but they're always finding new and better ways to achieve that quality. They're predictable in their reliability, but unpredictable in their innovation. Now, let me tell you what happens when you finally become so good they can't ignore you anymore. Opportunities start to find you instead of you having to chase them. People start to seek you out. Your phone starts ringing with offers instead of you making calls looking for work. When you've built a reputation for excellence, when you've proven yourself reliable and competent, when you've become known for delivering exceptional results, the world starts to treat you differently. Doors open that you didn't even know existed. People want to work with you, learn from you, partner with you. But here's something interesting that happens. The better you get, the more selective you can become. When opportunities are scarce, you take whatever comes your way. But when you're excellent, when you're in demand, you get to choose. You get to work on projects that matter to you, with people you respect, on terms that work for you. Excellence changes your relationships too. When you operate at a high standard, you attract other people who operate at a high standard. Excellence is magnetic. It draws quality people and quality opportunities. It repels the mediocre and the uncommitted. Your personal relationships improve because excellent people are more interesting to be around. They're more positive, more motivated, more inspiring. They bring energy and ideas to every interaction. They make everyone around them want to be better. Your professional relationships change because excellent people are valuable partners. They deliver what they promise. They solve problems instead of creating them. They add value to every situation they're part of. But with excellence comes responsibility. When you become the person others count on, when you become known for getting things done right, when you become the go-to person in your field, people's expectations of you change. And you can't let them down. This responsibility isn't a burden, it's a privilege. It means you've earned the trust and respect of others through your work. It means you've proven yourself worthy of their confidence. It means you've created enough value that others are willing to depend on you. But it also means you can't coast. You can't rest on your reputation. You can't take your position for granted. Excellence is not a destination. It's a way of traveling. It's a commitment you renew every day through your choices and your action. The moment you start to take your excellence for granted, the moment you stop pushing yourself to improve, the moment you become satisfied with your current level of performance, you start the slide back toward mediocrity. And the slide back is always faster than the climb up. That's why the most excellent people I know are also the most committed to continuous improvement. They're never satisfied. They're always looking for ways to get better. They understand that staying excellent is harder than becoming excellent because excellence attracts competition and raises expectations. Think about your legacy. Think about how you want to be remembered. Think about the impact you want to have on the world. Do you want to be remembered as someone who was just okay, someone who did the minimum required, someone who was easily forgotten? Or do you want to be remembered as someone who made a difference, someone who raised the standard, someone who inspired others to be better than they thought they could be, someone whose work mattered and whose presence was felt long after they were gone? The choice is yours, but you have to make it every day. You have to choose excellence over mediocrity. You have to choose growth over comfort. You have to choose discipline over convenience. You have to choose the harder path that leads to the better destination. Here's my challenge to you. For the next 90 days, commit to becoming so good at what you do that ignoring you becomes impossible. Pick the one skill that matters most to your success and dedicate yourself to mastering it. Study the best, practice with purpose, measure your progress. Don't just try harder, get better. Don't just work more, work smarter. Don't just show up, stand out. Don't just participate, excel. Don't just exist, make a difference. 90 days from now, you can either be 90 days older or 90 days better. The time is going to pass anyway. The question is what you're going to do with that time. Are you going to use it to become excellent, or are you going to use it to stay the same? The world needs your excellence. Your family needs your excellence. Your career needs your excellence. You need your excellence. Not because excellence is easy, but because mediocrity is expensive. It costs you opportunities, relationships, respect, and ultimately, it costs you the chance to see what you're really capable of. So decide today, decide right now, are you going to continue being ignorable, or are you going to become so good they can't ignore you anymore? Are you going to blend in with the crowd, or are you going to stand out through the quality of your work? The choice is yours, and it's the choice you make every single day. Choose excellence. Choose growth. Choose to become the person who can't be ignored. Your future self will thank you for it, and the world will be better because you decided to be excellent. Remember, you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. The journey to excellence begins with a single step, a single decision, a single commitment to be better today than you were yesterday. Start now. Start today. Start with the very next thing you do. Make it excellent. Make it undeniable. Make it impossible to ignore. That's how legends are born. That's how legacies are built. That's how ordinary people become extraordinary. Be so good they can't ignore you anymore. The world is waiting.